morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 51. We're going to be recapping the America's game, Army versus Navy. Then we'll be talking about NFL's must-watch with how we're betting this Sunday afternoon. But before I get too far, let me bring on my co-host, Mr. Tim Cook. How you doing today?
I'm doing good today. We had a decent Army-Navy game, but I think the NFL, especially in the afternoon, the 3 o'clock games, are definitely must-watch, playoff caliber, Super Bowl preview kind of games.
Oh, definitely agree. I mean, literally the afternoon is like the evening games are great. The night game, and then you got to remember you got 2 on Monday night as well. So it's an action-packed with NFL for the next couple of days since college football's on their little lure right now before the next week's playoff.
Yeah, definitely agree.
But let's get started right off the bat with that Army-Navy game. So we both went into it and said, hey, Army, because they've been playing so great, and they 6.5 easy. I was like, go to the 10, blah, blah, blah. Well, I went the wrong way. Should have went Navy on that side because I think what we kind of figured out was one team had a week off and one team played for a conference championship. But what did you think about that game?
Yeah, I mean, Horvath started off. I mean, Navy got the ball right off the bat, and Horvath, apparently he's been hurt all year or in and out with injuries. Well, he looked pretty strong yesterday. He had a rushing touchdown right off the bat, made it 7-0. Army goes for it on 4th down, and he does it like a little jump pass, and they get him started. But, I mean, then he throws an interception. Bryson Daly did not look good at all yesterday. Yeah. That defense was swarming on him. I mean, he had 3 interceptions for the game, 1 touchdown, but he did not look good. I mean, it just was. And next thing you know, Navy's out there a 14-0 lead, and they're not looking back. That defense for Navy is really good.
Well, and I think so. It's hard for teams, like an opposing team, to come in and say, "How do we respond to this?" It is triple option still, but it's more of just like the running quarterback kind of situation. All running quarterback, right? Like they pass maybe 10 times a game, if that. Well, Navy does that, so Navy can practice for that, and that's what makes this game so good. Is because they pretty much have the same offenses going at each other. Where like when Notre Dame plays them, Notre Dame throws the ball all over. So they don't know how to really, obviously you can watch film and understand the gameplay, but to actually get into that moment, you don't know. I think that Navy, I think it was 94 on the D-line. He was making plays left and right. And it was like, he was shooting the A-gap. So then when they would do like the fullback or the quarterback would take it, they just stopped it. And I also think too, this was Navy's Super Bowl while Army was like, we had a great year.
Yeah, and we're playing in a bowl, which they're both going to play in a bowl. But, I mean, one team played for a league championship. The other one didn't.
Yeah, and I think that's what you saw was a very rested-up Navy team compared to a beat-up Army team, which we did have that kind of a little bit of fear going into that game that we said Army's defense has kind of taken a little bit of a step back since Notre Dame with the injuries and stuff like that. Well, they had a lot of missed tackles yesterday. That's what I noticed from that was when the quarterback would take off or even that throw down the sideline and they missed a tackle and he takes it into the end zone. It was like, But I do have a question for you. I don't know if you saw the play or not, but when they scored that passing touchdown and he spiked the ball and they gave him 15 yards, did you think that was
a bad call? That is a bad call. That player ain't nowhere near that. And that player has nothing to do with that play. That kid was just being he was being like, he scored a touchdown. So he's going to spike the ball, but they give him I think the referees, and here we go again, these referees not talking to each other. They're just making the play, and then this referee's just saying, yep, that's it. That's what it is. Let's get together, guys. Come on, really? That should not have been an unsportsmanlike penalty. Because that could have turned the game. That could have turned, I mean, it was 21-10 at the time, but that could have gave Army all the momentum, and, they were starting almost at midfield after that play.
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on, man. You guys are better than that. I mean, but that was just a bad call. I think it's a bad call.
Well, and we've seen a lot of fallout since the rivalry week, right? Like from the putting the flags on the field and stuff like that. So I get them being a little bit more conscious of unsportsmanlike, right? Taunting stuff like that. He didn't look at him when he spiked it. He just spiked the ball. And the Army guy that was running that way was really just finishing the play.
Yeah.
End zone. So obviously he's finishing the play to the end zone.
Right.
Didn't see that. Now, the other thing that got right when I heard that in Ohio, they've put in legislation now, a bill that is trying to make it illegal
A felony.
Yes, to plant a flag.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
Hey, Ohio representatives and senators, you don't have nothing else better to do than do bullshit like that? Stay out of sports. Stay out of it. You guys don't need to belong there. Hey, how about just trying to balance your budget in Ohio? And all these people, I'm not just saying Ohio, but all these people. You guys are mad because you got beat by Michigan, and now you want to try legislation. Stay out of it. You guys don't belong there.
And that's the thing, right? Like you just said, is there not anything better to do? Oh, wait, maybe you guys get involved in the whole NCAA situation that we've been asking for about the whole NIL deal. Because that's the next big thing that you're going to start hearing about is if you get an NIL deal, are you allowed to sit out a bowl game? Because you're a paid athlete, and it's no more student athlete. I saw Cam Newton's speech on it. There's no more student athlete. They are
it's out.
Athletes. Like they are amateur athletes. They're getting paid. So, but yeah, it was. I will say I did not expect to see Navy going into it, and I might have cursed us when I said at the end of our podcast, well, this is a type of game where it's just no matter what's on the field, it comes to a close game. Well, Navy just took advantage of it, and they blew off Army.
Well, and then they had that fake punt, and then they got right down the field and scored right then and there. Game was over then. Because Army is not these two teams are not set up for coming from behind.
Yeah.
They are a ball control. You could tell that in the first series when they scored. I mean, that was a 6-minute drive that they had when it was 7-0. And it was also the first time in 5 years that they scored a team has scored more than 21 points. Yeah. So you know right then and there, this is usually a tightly contested game.
Yep. No, it was a good game though. It's good to get the America's game. It puts a little pride in our country. Well, I want to move on to the NFL, but first, before we start talking about the must-watch, I got to bring up something that's dear to my heart. Randy Moss recently just came out and gave a little bit of a Facebook Live or a Instagram Live or whatever video talking about that he is battling cancer. So, obviously, this started a couple weeks ago on Monday Countdown when people noticed that he had yellow eyes. People were like, well, it's alcoholism and blah, blah, blah. He then came on the next week and wore sunglasses and talked about why his family was battling something. He's wearing sunglasses. The whole crew wore sunglasses in support of him. I loved it. I will say, after hearing this, it almost brought a tear to my eye. And I will say, I will cry like a little boy when that man does pass away. And hopefully it's a very long time from now, because Randy Moss is the reason that I will say I stayed a Vikings fan, right? I had a lot of influence of being a Vikings fan, but what Randy Moss did on the field is what people do now, and we just don't even think about it. But before it was Randy Moss, there wasn't people making the one-handed catches, right? Everyone wants to put Odell as the one-handed catch guy.
Right. Yeah.
Randy Moss did that shit 15 years before that even happened. Okay? Any ball that was thrown up, he can make a play. I hope everything goes good. I hope recovery comes well. But, hearing that story, and it's so weird, but, like, when that happened, I literally looked at my wife, like, when I heard the yellow eyes and he talking about something, I was like, please don't be him. Like, just don't be him. So hopefully everything goes good with him, because I that one's a tough one.
Yeah, he was back in the 90s and 2000s probably the most electrifying wide receiver there was. Everybody wanted him. Man, he could go out and just throw the ball up to him. He'll go get it. Yeah. You could throw the ball deep and overthrow him, and it seemed like he'd go right and like a gazelle and just come right underneath it and catch it. I mean, there was a lot of passes that Tom Brady threw to him that he did. Dante Culpepper that he did. I mean, some of them players, man, he would just go right. I mean, you just never see anything like that, other than maybe Jerry Rice. But this guy could catch one-handed catches and then he was gone. You weren't catching him. You were not catching him.
Yeah, no, and I definitely think, and we were talking right before this about the '99 year where
the
could have won the Super Bowl. They were the best team in the NFL that year. Obviously, the missed field goal changes it. You're a Denver Broncos fan who ended up.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I was glad that he missed that, because I think if Minnesota plays Denver in that Super Bowl, I think Minnesota wins that Super Bowl, because I don't think Denver had the defensive backs to cover Randy Moss.
Yeah, well, and they had like Randy Moss, Chris Carter. I think it was like
right. Yep.
It was just. And I always want to say that people say the best offense on turf or whatever they put at the Rams. I mean, did you guys just fall asleep during the 90s and watching Minnesota? Like that was.
Yeah, I think they scored over 500 points that year. I mean, they were one of the highest scoring offenses in that season, 98, 99. I think they scored over 500 points.
Yeah.
and a 16-game schedule. So you're talking over 30 points a game average.
Yeah.
They were a good team. Yeah.
Crazy time, and I hope everything goes smooth with him. But going from one great offense to another great offense, let's talk about our first must-watch game. Bills versus Lions. Lions are just on fire with this offense, but unfortunately, that defense is beat up. They are supposed to get a couple of those guys back today. While at the same time, the Bills are coming off of a 42-point loss. So is Josh Allen the MVP this year? What do you think about this game?
I think, one thing the Bills need to win to stay in contention for the number 1 seed. They cannot lose again. I mean, they're already 2 games back. If they lose a third one, they're out. So, I mean, they've got to win. I mean, they've already got the AFC West locked up. Lions need to win to stay in front of the Eagles because I don't think the Lions –
And Vikings. Don't forget.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Vikings, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that team from the north.
Yeah, don't forget about that team.
For the number 1 seed, I mean, I think the big injury for the Bills is that Rasul Douglas is going to be out this week. So that will open up the passing game for the Lions. I mean, I don't think they're going to need any more help, with that. But, I mean, they still got Knuckles and Sonic, 1-2 punch. So, I mean, that's going to be tough. But that injury there, I think and another thing, too, is the Lions are going to have to control Josh Allen. 10 touchdowns he's accounted for in the last 2 games. You ain't going to be able to do that. I mean, that defense is going to have – I think this could be a shootout really up in Detroit.
Yeah, I did see a thing where Campbell said that he wants to run the ball, hold on possession of the ball as much, keep his defense off the field. Do not give Josh Allen as many times as you can to get going, because I do think the Bills' offense, the way they're set up and the way they're playing recently, that Detroit defense is, unfortunately, with all the injuries, I don't think they're going to be able to stop it. It's just contain it. Contain it to you can't. Right. You stop it. An interesting story that I did see is Campbell, Dan Campbell, for the coach for the Lions, and Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Bills, were actually roommates when they were both assistant coaches for the Saints back in the day.
Really? Huh.
Joe Brady made the comment that he was like, I saw this potential with Dan Campbell. And at the same time, Joe Brady kind of rejuvenated himself after his earlier things with now being back in Buffalo and making this Buffalo offense going too. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him eventually get another opportunity at head coaching position.
Right.
In a better situation. I think he's a little bit smarter now that he's going to take a place that actually has potential instead of just taking whatever's the first choice.
Right. I definitely agree.
But this will be a great game. I mean, Josh Allen's having a great season. Right now, I think from what I read, that he's the number 1 that they're saying for MVP. Lamar, obviously, with his situation. But Jared Goff at the same time, it's crazy that, and every time, we'll say this every time, but it's crazy that we're like, hey, this is a great quarterback matchup. Because Jared Goff was out of the league a couple of years ago.
Right.
They wanted him out even in Detroit. So this will be a great game, which takes us to our second must-watch game. Steelers versus Eagles. What do you think about this game?
The Battle of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You've got the Steelers and the Eagles. Steelers coming on divisional game winner against the Browns last week, while the Eagles struggle against the Panthers. And now we've got some rumblings from A.J. Brown saying, hey, you got to give me the ball, buddy. You got to start giving me the ball. We're not going to win anything unless you start giving me the ball. So, and Pittsburgh hasn't won in Philadelphia since, get this one, 1965, almost 60 years since the last time they won there. So, Steelers are going to be without George Pickens again today. He's due to an injury, and which hurts Wilson's passing game. So Wilson's going to have to rely on their run game. I think Pittsburgh's going to have to rely on Harrison Warren and play great defense, just like they've been doing all year. I mean, without Pickens, I think Wilson could struggle because Eagles' defense is not too bad. For Philadelphia, they've had a turmoil from last week with A.J. Brown. I see them getting him going early and often. I think they're really going to get going with him.
Yeah, this is the second year of this shit. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm tired. Last year I drafted A.J. Brown in fantasy, and I hear this shit, and it went downhill very fast. Eagles were first round bounced out of the playoffs. Now we're hearing this shit, and I got Jalen Hurts on the other side of the draft. Come on, relax. I mean, I get it. He is a great player. But we're about to talk about the next game, Packers versus Seahawks. And I want to talk about what DK made in comments this week, okay? But in this game alone, Russell Wilson threw to 8 receivers last game and 10 the week before. He is spreading the ball throughout that offense.
Right.
And at the same time, they will always stick to their guns of running the ball. They're going to give Najee enough. They're going to give Cordell Patterson enough. They're going to give Warren enough. They're going to run the ball. I think it's going to be a possession game. If the Eagles start out like the way they have been recently, where they're slow start, kind of to get it going, they can get behind and not have much time to catch back up because the way Pittsburgh wants to do this, they're going to run. Now, at the same time, the Eagles' defense has stepped up tenfold since the start of this year. I mean, I drafted the Eagles' defense, and then I
did too. Right. I get it. Right.
So I definitely think, but the matchup of this game is that Pitt D line versus Saquon Barkley. I understand shutting him down early is great, but can you shut him down for 4 quarters? And I think you're going to have to if you want to actually win this game. I think this is a great challenge for Pitt because everyone's still kind of on the fence with them. Like, are they good? Are they, this is a game where you can either make a statement or you say, hey, you're going to make it to the playoffs, but you ain't going to do shit in the playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely agree that the Barkley one because what did he say? He had almost 1,000 yards in the second half of ball games this year. So if you can get him, contain him a little bit and for 4 quarters, not just for 3, because the fourth quarter, that seems like he's getting stronger as the game goes. But I think the Steelers defense will keep him in check, that offense of Philadelphia. But I think at the end, I think Philadelphia pulls away.
Yeah. Well, and that takes us to our third must-watch game, and is the Packers versus the Seahawks. Now, we just talked about A.J. Brown not getting the ball enough, and he's like, I need the ball more. DK got asked about that because DK hasn't seen as much recently as well. And you know what DK's response was? Well, if I don't get the ball, I get to show off my blocking skills. And I'm sorry, but make me a lover on that one because that is the NFL. Like I get it. It's a privilege to play there. Obviously, everybody dreams to play in that league. But then when you do get there, you want to make sure that management wants to keep you around. That comment right there, sign a lifetime contract. That is crazy because you have another diva on the other team. And we use wide receivers, we call them divas. But A.J. Brown is like the stereotypical diva on that team because of how much he didn't get the ball, where DK is saying, I'll block. This game, I think, is Jackson Smith-Njigba's game. I think the way that they've been running the ball with Chardonnay last week, I think they're going to try to shut down the running, while Green Bay's defense, or passing defense, has been giving up tons of yards. They had Tua, then they had the Lions offense, and they've been giving up so much. I think on this side, too, Geno Smith's got to get the ball out of his hands. Let his playmakers make these plays. On Green Bay's side, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs. Just give him the ball. Like, I don't do too much. Don't give Jordan Love too much of this. Don't make him try to make plays because he's going to throw interceptions and you're going to let the Seahawks win this game. Just run the ball. I think you'll do fine if you just pound the rock. What do you think about this game?
Yeah. Also, too, the Packers are going to be without Jair Alexander, which is their quarterback. So that's going to be a big loss. I think if Geno has the time, he can really spray the ball around with JSN, with Lockett, and I'm hoping DK Metcalf because I do have him. And it's keeping the Seahawks is shutting down Josh Jacobs. Yeah. He's been tearing it up this year. So, I mean, if they could shut him down, and their run defense has been really good. The last 5 games, they've only given up less than 100 yards a game. So, I mean, their defense has been playing good. I think the key for the Packers, keeping Geno Smith in check. Yep. Put some pressure on him. If teams that put pressure on him this year, he's not done so well. He's thrown a lot of bad interceptions. I mean, bad ones. So, I mean, that's, so, and this is a game I'll probably bet on.
Yeah, no, definitely me too. But I think this is when the Packers last year turned it on. Like right around this time, they turned it on. Right. They were a force to be reckoned in the playoff. They kind of need to do that now. I mean, because I would like to say that I don't look at Green Bay as a team that's going to make a run. I think they have the potential to, but they got to start on because you just named the Lions, right? The Lions got to win. The Vikings, the Eagles. That's 3 teams. Like, when are you going to put your name in that category? Losing these games to the Lions and things like that don't help that situation. So, looking at this game, if they can turn it on, I would say watch out for the Packers going forward. Also, one other thing I want to bring up about this game, be excited for the jerseys you're going to see today. Supposedly, the Packers are going to be wearing the all-whites jerseys.
Oh, right.
While Seattle is going to be wearing the action green jersey.
Oh, like the neon green?
Yeah, so it'll be
Okay.
a very bright colored game with that one. So I like when they
Right.
do this. I know I can't believe I'm saying this, but I kind of miss the color rush. I thought those jerseys were just different. They were cool. I understand kind of going away from them because some of them looked really bad, but like
Yeah, really hideous. Yeah.
these were the color rush good jerseys, like the white.
Right.
All I did see that the Green Bay Packers put out on social media asking if that's what fans wanted. Um, Obviously, if you're a Packers fan, why the hell wouldn't you want that to happen? But
Right.
so, but yeah, that'll be a great game. Now, there's other great games this coming up today. Like at noon today, we have Chiefs versus Browns, Bengals and Titans, Commanders and Saints, Ravens and Giants, and Cowboys, Panthers, Jets and Jaguars, Dolphins and Texans. That's all at our noon schedule today. At the 3:30 game, you have Colts and Broncos, Bills and Lions, Steelers and Eagles, Patriots and Cardinals. And Buccaneers and Chargers. Tonight, we have the Packers versus Seahawks. And then on Monday night, we have two games. I absolutely hate when they do this shit. One's honestly worth watching. But Bears versus Vikings and Falcons versus Raiders. What else do you think about this week?
I think the Broncos Colts.
Yep.
If Broncos win, I think they've solidified their 7th spot. Could move up possibly because the Colts are 2 games back. If they win, they're 3 games up with 3 to go. I don't see them, and I don't see the Dolphins making a move. They don't, But yeah, I think that's going to be the big one. And the 3 games, 2 games this afternoon and tonight. I think you got to get your popcorn ready and watch them because I think they're going to be good.
Yeah, and another game too is it shouldn't be interesting based on how the season's gone or what you look on paper. But Ravens and Giants, play your game. Do not play for that competition because the Giants will find a way. It's at the Giants, so I just feel like it's one of these games where these are the games that Ravens lose for some reason, and so I would keep an eye out for that game as well. The spread on that one is 16.
I was just about going to bring that up. I stayed away from that game. That's 3 touchdowns almost. That's a lot of points.
Well, speaking of betting, what do you got for your first bet this week or on Sunday?
I have for my first bet Jets and Jags. Jets coming off that hard bad luck, overtime loss to the Dolphins last week. While the Jags, they're coming off a road win against the Titans. Jets have lost the last 6 games as favorites, while the Jags have won 3 of their last 4 as underdogs following a division win. The Jets just have more talent, but find ways to lose each week. Yeah. They just do. They're not, Jets have not won since Halloween. Yikes. The Jags have issues as well, but they are 5-1-1 against the spread this year in the last 7 games. I think the Jags keep it close. I like the Jags getting to 3.5.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I could see this being Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams kind of game, though. I hope so because it was my fantasy with Davante Adams. But I don't understand how they lose some of these games. I just like the way that you watch the whole game and you're like, okay, they'll turn it on and they just don't.
Yeah.
So I like that one. And Mac Jones for them recently are we going to say another benching that has kind of worked out in the favor of that? Like,
right.
Mac Jones.
He had to move on to another team just to do this. So.
Yes. But it's another situation where we could say it just worked out, like just going somewhere else and doing something else. I don't know if I'm a full believer yet, so I'm not saying he is in the Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson category, but he has played well, and definitely against the Titans he played well.
Right.
For my first bet, I am looking at, I think you said you were betting on this one too, the Packers versus Seahawks. I like this game of Seattle 2.5. I like taking Seattle 2.5 because I think Seattle has more weapons with a bad defensive core for the Packers. I think at this game, it's going to be one where even if the Seahawks get behind, they can get back in the game. If it was at Packers, I'm taking Packers all day. But because it's in Seattle, I think right now Seattle understands that they have to keep winning. Like your previous comments on the last podcast, the Rams are coming, so you got to keep ahead of them. I think this is for Seahawks. Now, I will tell you right now, Seattle, if you pull some bullshit, I'm pissed. Because this is a game that I thought about. When I saw this matchup, I said, I'm staying the hell away from it. Because this is a game in Seattle, but it just doesn't make sense that Seattle would lose this one. You're getting 2.5, 3. I think the lines kind of moved a little bit.
Yeah.
Take the points on this one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also going to bet on this one that the Packers have failed to cover the spread in the last 4 games with teams with winning records. The Seahawks have covered the spread in 7 of the last 8 as underdogs following division win. The Packers defense show holes, and last week against the Lions. And the Seahawks offense is on fire with Geno and their running backs which now is just going to be Charbonnet because the other one's doubtful, Kenneth Walker. So give me the Seahawks, and I'll take the 2.5 and 3 points. I just think right now they're just playing better ball. I mean, I don't know if it's better ball, but they are at home. I think I take the 3 or 2.5 points, 3. I just think I think they'll cover this one. I can see the Packers having a little bit of a down.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And this game, when I saw, and we didn't bring it up, but the Seahawks Packers, I always remember that playoff game.
Where right.
Packers were up. Russell Wilson brings them back. They went on like not a Hail Mary, but a deep touchdown pass. These games always find a way to be very interesting. So I think this game will be interesting. But if you're going to give me points, I'm going to take points on that one all day.
Yeah, especially when you're playing at home.
Yeah. For my second game, I'm going back to the first must-watch game we said, the Lions versus Bills. Lions are playing great ball. I totally agree. But at the same time, the Bills are playing, I think, better ball right now. I think the Lions, with their defensive situation, it's going to catch up to them. You cannot keep winning games. And if you do, give them the trophy. Give them the goddamn trophy, okay? But I think with the way that Lions defense is hurting right now, Josh Allen's going to exploit it. I like the 2.5 in this. Was it 2.5? Yeah. Bills, you're getting 2.5 in this game. I would have loved a 3 to get a push on a last second field because the Lions have been doing that shit at the end. But who knows if it's a who knows if it's a 1 point difference and they kick a field goal, there's that 2. You come out with the win even though your Bills lost. But I think the Bills can win this game. So I'm taking the Bills plus 2.5.
You know what? I like I'll bet you Sony on it. I'll take the Lions. I think the Lions have got something going on this year. They are, I see the stat today, they are on fourth down conversion. They've converted on 68% of their conversions on fourth down this year. Wow. So, and he knows when to go for it and when not to go for it. I like the Lions. I like the Lions.
Hold on. Old man.
Yeah.
Does bitching on a previous podcast. He doesn't know when to go.
But he just knows it. When you're 12-1, you just know it.
You know what? It's crazy how much stats will just change you like a. No, that's crazy. But you know what? I will bet you this, but I want the 2.5.
I'll give you the 2.5. I'll give you the 2.5.
Okay.
Because then I kick a field goal, then I win, so it doesn't matter.
Well, maybe I'm up 1 at that time, so who knows? What do you got for your third bet today?
Miami versus Houston. Dolphins coming off the overtime win against the Jets, which they had to fight back down 23-14 in the fourth quarter. Houston coming off the bye, but they've won their last game 23-20 against Jacksonville. They did struggle. That was the game where the cornerback laid out Trevor Lawrence. Houston has played better defense as they've given up 326 yards to the Jags 2 weeks ago. Miami has to get out to a better start than they did last week, and their defense has to step up because they gave up 402 yards to the Jets. Yikes. I mean, Rodgers threw for 300 yards, and that's the first time in 3 years he threw for 300 yards. I think Texas get back right after the bye, so I'll take the Texans and I'll give you 3 points.
Yeah, no, this is it has to be a must or get right. It has to. If not, the Texans, like you said, are just unfortunately going the wrong way at this time of the year, and that's not where you want to be going. But I do agree. I think this is a game where C.J. Stroud needs to step up and play his game, and if he does, they handle this one. I think it's pretty fair.
If they lose this one and Indianapolis wins, now it's just a 1-game lead.
Yeah.
Watch out. Watch out.
For my last bet, and I'm going to have some people coming after me. I think some people are going to be on my side. But for my last bet, Cowboys versus Panthers. Who gives a shit? Well, I do because of the betting odds on this one. Carolina is giving 3 points. Wait. The Carolina team that at one point was going to get the number 1 draft pick? Yes. They're giving 3 against the Cowboys. Cowboys should have won against the Bengals. Should have won. You don't do that punt, situation, whatever.
Right.
They lose that game. Cowboys have lost games at the end because of stupid shit, okay? I'm going to say that. They're going to win this game. I'm getting the 3 points with Cowboys. I will tell you right now, if Cowboys don't win, I'm taking it out on Bob Modrow, okay? Bob, the next time I see you, if the Cowboys lose this game, We're doing a rock and ride because I'm telling you right now, I gotta get this bet. I gotta go 3-0. Cowboys have to bounce back. This is a game that Cooper Rush and Lamb and all these guys that they have, they should play this way. At the same time, Bryce Young is playing well. I get that, but Dallas's defense it just seems like it's coming on a little bit better with the pass rush. So we'll see. And also now we're coming off of this whole Parsons leaving the game early. I think he's pretty motivated. He's going to get after Bryce Young. I think they win this game. Getting points in this situation just was like, whoa, I got to take it. But I'm telling you right now, Cowboys, do not pick around. I will never bet on you guys ever again if this happens.
Right.
There's a lot of football. We gave our bets. If you do take any of our betting advice, please remember we're just two goons talking college football and NFL. We're just betting off of our little money that we got. So also remember that if we do bets, we're just two goons, okay? If you're a football fan right now, we got football today, Sunday. We got football, 2 games on Monday night. We got a game on Tuesday, college football. Wednesday, we got college football. Thursday, we got football. Friday, we got football. Saturday, every day. Every day we got football right now. So if you're a football fan, this is a great time of the year because every day it seems like there's something on. Might not be the greatest game, but there's some football on because you're going to miss it in March, April, all these other months. You're going to miss not being able to see it. But we want to thank everyone for listening, commenting, sharing. We hit 51 episodes, which is a great thing, but we're going to keep going. Listen to us on Wednesday when we recap the NFL and we start talking college football playoffs. We want to thank everyone. Have a great Sunday, and we'll see you on Wednesday.